name is Reverend Deborah Bennett, and I get to be the lucky minister of this particular Unitarian Universalist congregation here at Westminster. And welcome to our Unitarian, Rhode Island Unitarian Universalist Legislation Ministry Forum. And truly, on behalf of the 5 Unitarian Universalist congregations in the state, we have the First Unitarian Church of Providence, Bell Street Chapel, Channing Memorial, Unitarian Universalist Congregation of South County, and myself. We really do welcome you and thank you for recognizing the importance of this legislative work and joining together here today. This is truly amazing work that we're doing. And a special welcome to all of our invited guests, including our elected legislators, advocacy partners working for social justice. And I do encourage all of you to visit the display tables during break. We'll have a break in about an hour or so. And then stay afterwards at 4 o'clock. There'll be lots of opportunity for networking and connection, because that's what it's all about, right? I also want to welcome, if they are in the room, Evan Carver-Zimmer, who's from our regional UUA connection. If they are here, I invite them to come forward. And if not, they are here in spirit and probably on the road. So I'm going to go ahead and light our chalice. And some of you are going to recognize these words if you've been around Unitarian Universalism for a while. They're some of my favorite, written by our UU minister, Leslie Takahashi. She says this, she says, "All we have ever loved and all that we have ever been stands with us on the brink of all that we aspire to create. A deeper peace, a larger love, a more embracing hope, and a deeper joy in this life we share." Yes? Yes. Okay, I'm going to just go off script for a second. So here's the thing. In my other congregation, there was this little girl and this mom, right? And the girl was like, okay, like what's this amen thing about? And the mom tried to explain, and she was like, oh, you mean it's like hitting send? So, I know you just aren't always into the amen thing, but if you hear something today you like, just yell send, and we all understand. All right? Send that out. All right. Now on to our program. Our theme is empowering up to act locally in these trying times. And many of us are here today, have been marching on protests and outrage on the administration in DC. While we must keep that going, we also campaign for justice right here in Rhode Island. So, to get us started with an amazing program that we have for you today, I'd like to introduce Representative David Morales, who will speak about why working local matters.
Neighbors, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Now, naturally, I would ask, how are we feeling these days? But I recognize that for many of us, that's a series of mixed emotions. It's a series of mixed emotions because it seems like almost every day, actually every hour, there's a new headline. There's a new headline that centers around some form of chaos. A form of chaos that is unfortunately being brought to us once again by the federal government. And the chaos represents attacks on our neighbors, on our communities, on basic civil rights. And I know that whether it is through our television screens, scrolling through Facebook, reading the paper, any medium, you're probably asking yourself after you read the horrifying headlines of the day or of the hour, what can I do? What can I do to ensure that I'm looking out for my neighbors? What can I do to help mitigate the harm that may be coming our way? And I say that with confidence because I know many of us think of these questions because we feel that sense of urgency to take action. And for many of us, that then takes a form of being able to march with a diverse coalition of community members all across the state. Because let's not forget that just last week, we had over 10,000 Rhode Islanders going to downtown Providence. several months, we have seen similar demonstrations in the thousands all across the state. Whether it's happening in Exeter, whether it's happening in Warwick, whether it's happening within the urban core of Providence, we are seeing our neighbors standing up and taking action. And beyond rallying, we also recognize that there are local institutions of government where we can create change. Change that is focused on safeguarding and protecting our neighbors here in this state, but also sending a message to the country, to the other 49 states, that there are ways to be bold during these times of uncertainty. And so this forum often takes being able to show up to the State House, being able to confidently advocate as you speak to a legislator, whether it's before a committee or going down to the House or Senate floor and talking to them about an issue that you care deeply about, whether it directly impacts you, a neighbor, or a loved one. And I just want to emphasize that it does in fact make a difference. Because sometimes we feel hopeless even after we march. There might be that little voice in your head saying, what difference did that make? Well, I want to give you the reassurance that it does make a difference. Because over the last several years within the state of Rhode Island, our state senators and our state representatives have acted upon pressing issues that have come down to us at the national level. Years ago, when there was quote-unquote hypothetical concern that then became reality around the reversal of Roe v. Wade, the state had already taken the steps to codify those rights. And then we went a step further, and we passed the Equality and Abortion Care Act, the EACA, to ensure that every neighbor had the protection around reproductive rights regardless of socioeconomic status. But I want to be clear that does not necessarily just happen overnight. It happens because people show up. Working people across our state that aren't just confined to wearing these stiff suits are showing up in their bright colored t-shirts. Showing up from all across the 39 cities and towns here in our state. And being able to say with passion why it is that this issue matters. Similarly, there have been ongoing concerns from the first Trump administration back in 2016 that Republicans would repeal the Affordable Care Act, and they made progress chipping away between 2016 and 2020, chipping away at several provisions within the ACA. But what we did in Rhode Island was ensure that that was codified as well. We wanted to ensure that if there ever came a time or a place where the Affordable Care Act ceased to exist, that Rhode Islanders would be protected with the basic rights of health care. And we also take proactive rights. Because we recognize that for decades on end, the federal government, regardless of administration, has failed to act when it comes to investing in housing opportunities. We have a national shortage of housing. We have an increasing number of unhoused neighbors. So what has happened at the State House, because we have heard from our neighbors telling us about the skyrocketing rents, telling us that it's difficult to age in place, and people find themselves displaced as a result, is we have passed a record level number of laws centered around making sure that we're able to expand housing opportunities, specifically affordable housing opportunities for everyone in our state, regardless of age, regardless of socioeconomic background. We've recognized the need, but beyond that, and most importantly, our neighbors have recognized that need and have brought that to the attention of the General Assembly. And that is why local advocacy makes such a difference. Because we are able to accomplish monumental investments that contrast the narrative happening at the federal level. And yes, we recognize that there are levels of uncertainty now as it stands related to the future of our public education system and what that support looks like from the federal government. We recognize there are attacks on our public institutions, such as libraries, such as healthcare and medical facilities. But that's why we come back and we organize, because we say that here in Rhode Island, we are going to maximize opportunities for every Rhode Islander. And that's why it's so special to see the advocacy corner towards the back, where we have a series of different advocacy organizations that are ensured that regardless of which actions are taken at the federal level, that Rhode Islanders are going to be protected. If the federal government refuses to act on gun safety measures, then we know Moms Demand Action, the Rhode Island Coalition Against Gun Violence, is going to ensure that we have an assault weapons ban. When the national movement of book banners tries to invade our backyard, we know that the Coalition for the Freedom to Read is going to defend our right to read. And we know that despite how much they might want to say we got to drill, baby, drill, that the Climate Action of Rhode Island and every environmental organization is going to ensure that our natural resources are protected and preserved. But I emphasize once again that this cannot be done in silos. We as legislators wearing these stiff suits alone cannot do it. We need members of our communities to be able to come before the committee hearings, to be able to rally and put pressure on legislators right outside the State House, whether it is a press conference or a protest. There is an urgent need and a call to action that I am excited we're all here together today to hear. Because you're going to hear from a diverse group of legislators that represent all different parts of Rhode Island, reinforcing the importance of local action. Because what we do here in our backyard is what has the most immediate impact on our neighbors. Let me repeat that again. What happens in our backyard, the decisions that are made at City Hall and the State House, are what has the most immediate impact on all of us. So Fox News and MSNBC can keep the thrilling narratives as to what's happening in D.C., but we're going to make sure that our efforts are concentrated here locally, because that's what we have control over, but most importantly, that's what's going to give hope to the rest of our state. That's what's going to give hope to our neighbors, to our children, to our loved ones, to be able to say, collectively, we made that change happen. We were able to accomplish that budget investment, and regardless of any attacks that the federal government wants to pose, Rhode Island is a state that leads. I will repeat that. So together, I know that over the next several months and over the next several years, we are prepared to lead. We're prepared to lead between the faith leaders that we have in this space today, between the advocacy organizations and the legislators that have joined us. Together, we're going to lead the way to demonstrate not just what resistance looks like, but what persistence for the greater good looks like. Thank you.
All right, you're feeling good, right? Thank you. That was really, really incredible.